Hey, welcome to the Teresa Lusk Show, and in today's episode, you are going to meet my next guest, Jennifer Lundy. Jennifer is the founder of a nonpartisan organization called Texans for Judiciary Accountability. You're going to hear a wonderful story about a woman who is standing up to begin to hold our judiciary accountable. You want a representative like this one on your side. Stay tuned. Hey friends, welcome to the Teresa Lusk Show. I am your host, Teresa Lusk, and I want you to help me welcome my next guest, Jennifer Lundy. Jennifer has actually begun to be involved in something quite challenging and difficult, but much needed. She is making sure that we hold our judicial system accountable. Let me tell you just a little bit about Jennifer. Jennifer founded Texans for Judicial Accountability in response to the long-standing and well-known issues with the Texas Judiciary and in response to the egregious behavior she experienced firsthand. Jennifer was a longtime Senate staffer, is a political advisor to numerous legislators, elected officials, and candidates. Help me welcome Jennifer. Welcome to the show, Jennifer.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me today.
Thank you. Listen, I think you have a story that needs to be told. You have been standing in what I would think is quite a difficult thing because you can't come against, the political system and think this is easy.
Correct.
What led you to this point?
So I was working for one of our senators, and I had a gentleman who was in the court system. He had been going through this case for many, many years. He asked me if I would watch the case, if I would come to the hearings, and I said, I'm in the Senate and we can't. He sent me all the information, all the depositions, all of all the court information that he had on the case. I read it and I agreed with him, but I couldn't do anything about it. Fast forward, I was working for a lady who was running for state rep, and it was about the time of his trial. Okay. So I asked her if she minded if I went, and she had been a mayor for 16 years.
Wow.
She knew about the court system, and she said, "I demand you go."
Wow.
Now, naturally, if I would have said no, it would have been different. But that's showing she absolutely had an interest in it. So I went to two of his hearings that were right before the trial. The judge then called her, and he said, if Jennifer Lundy comes back in my courtroom, I'm going to make sure she doesn't work in this county again.
Wow.
I was like, what? I mean, courts are supposed to be open for all of us to go to. I didn't understand that. Well, she had actually lost her election, and I was at that time working for the state rep. And he called him as well and said the same thing to him, and he also let me know. So I waited about 6 months before I did anything about it, but I let the gentleman know who had wanted me to go to court, and he said, just hang on a second. I'm going to have some people call you. So I started getting calls from all over the state about this happening everywhere. It was not just me. So the lady who's running for state rep, she and I filed a report with the SCJC, the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, and I'm a very curious type person. I mean, I don't just do something and leave it. I researched everything about them, and that's when I saw what is happening with our judges, how we are not informed when there are complaints made against them. In the last 20 years, they've had 27,000 complaints. Only 212 of those have gone through.
In how many years?
20 years.
My goodness.
So that opened everything up. I formed Texas for Judicial Accountability. I got, all the legal part of that out of the way. I started getting everything written up the way I felt it needed to be written up. I made my list of the things that we want changed. Because accountability is huge in Texas.
Yes.
We all need accountability, especially for our elected officials.
Yes.
So I started speaking. I've spoken in 8 counties so far. I'd like to speak all over Texas. My goal is to get it through the Republican priorities, the Democrat priorities on the one hand. The other hand, I'm speaking with our legislators. I'm talking with our state reps and also our senators. And then I just had a meeting with in the governor's office last week.
Good.
We are going to make some changes.
Okay. So how is it being received? Because number one, I think this is phenomenal, because here's the thing. This needs to extend not just to judges, but to all elected officials.
All elected officials.
And I think this could be somewhat of a trailblazing movement, really, because in our nation today, Jennifer, let's just be honest, there is dire need for accountability everywhere. So this could be a trailblazing movement, really.
Well,
so how is it being received? Tell us a little bit about that, and are you receiving challenges? What's going on with that?
So far, I have not received any challenges. Everyone is like,
Good.
Why have we not seen this before?
Yes, yeah.
And, I'm certainly not going to say it's because of me. I don't know why it wasn't. I don't know why people didn't see it before.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful that I have the opportunity to make a difference. We've been spread over 5 states so far. We have people coming to us, please, 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 make it bigger than Texas. I'm like, well, I'm all for that. Let me get Texas done first. Texas is a big state.
Yes.
But it's being so well received. Every rep that I've spoken with so far are on board. I've got to find the reps, and I know their names. I just got to get a hold of them. The reps who are over it in place in Austin for what we're doing. And the Senate is the same way. I've got one senator who I think is absolutely going to carry it.
Good.
I've got to get it written up the way it's supposed to be. That's I do have someone who has volunteered to do that, so we're going to get that started very soon.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I'm going to keep yelling. I'm going to talk everywhere I can talk. I want people to listen.
Yeah.
Because I also see the other areas where we have elected officials where there's no accountability at all. And believe me, I will go that direction whenever I get this done up the way it should be.
Yeah.
But the
So you have people who are jumping on board with you. Absolutely. And you're seeing the support, which I am kind of surprised that you're getting such support and not yet resistance, although I would say expect it.
I do expect it
100%.
But I will tell you, the very first thing I did once we got the legalities out of the way, the very first thing I did is I went and talked with a county court at law judge. I went and talked to the district judge, and I went and talked with an appellate court judge before I went to anyone else.
Very smart.
Because I wanted to make sure what I'm asking for, what we all need, was legitimate, and it is.
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
100% is.
Absolutely.
We've got support on that end. I've had judges calling me, wanting to talk about everything
Good.
going on, because here's my thing. Most of our judiciary are honest people. We know that. But there are some who are not.
Correct, yes.
And it's kind of like the police.
Correct.
When you have some who are not acting the way they're supposed to be acting, that's what people focus on.
Absolutely.
So we have to make sure it's all in the open.
Absolutely. Did you get to review some of the cases or complaints against these judges?
Yes.
Okay. So
yes,
can you give us some examples? We don't need to read everything, but give us some examples of what were some of the things that were being filed as complaints.
So I'm just going to give you 2.
Okay.
The first one, this is what drives me insane about the fact that they're all hidden. This was an appellate court judge at one time. He served for 20 years.
Oh.
And so he was just working as an attorney at this point. and he had a complaint against another appellate court judge. He had never filed a complaint. His complaint is 66 pages long.
Wow.
My complaint was like this long.
Wow.
And his was denied. You can't see it on there at all. And that to me is awful because we need to be able to see what's happening. And if an appellate court judge can't get his through, how in the heck am I supposed to get mine through? Okay, so my next one is a case out of Parker County.
Okay.
This gentleman had been, and this is the gentleman who got me into this. Okay, his case had been going on for 6 years in Parker County.
Wow.
It was a struggle from day one, and he told the judge from day one that he didn't have jurisdiction. He told him over and over and over. Well, he just got a week ago this past Thursday, the case was overturned. The judge did not have jurisdiction. He put that man through a load of problems, having him in court for 6 years, knowing he did not have jurisdiction.
Oh my goodness.
But that is why we are doing this, because these judges, not all of them, some of them, this one in particular, they are, they act like they're God.
Oof. Yeah, that's very true. Are there other organizations that do what you do, or did you look into that, or tell us a little bit about that?
I did look into that. No one that I have found is doing what I'm doing.
Wow.
There are definitely a lot of groups out there. I've had calls from people who are interested in the CPS issues. That I had a call last week about a land issue. This judge, they don't feel that he ruled in the way he was supposed to. Okay. Now, I have not read the whole case, so I don't know. However, whenever they told him that they wanted to appeal it, so not only will they have to pay the appeal costs, which that I understand, he will then tack on all of the other parties' costs. So their cost to take it any further is going to be around $150,000. Well, who can do that? These judges they hold everything whenever they can charge you that much to file a case, because who knows how the appeals court will rule.
That's interesting that you're bringing that up, because it lends to educate how much power.
Yes.
And here's what I'm hearing you say, and it just makes me go, oh my goodness, this is imperative that we get this type of awareness out, because I'm thinking, well, okay, so they've got power as to do they overturn, not this and that, but the money.
Yes.
The money. People are people going homeless trying to fight? Let's talk about that. Can you share? Because this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that needs to be heard and learned about. I've never really sat around and thought about crooked judges. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm with you. I know that there are a lot of good people. I do not think that everybody who's a judge or a police officer or all politicians. I'm not cynical at all when it comes to that. I know that there are still good people. I will always say that. But where there isn't good, healthy, honest leaders, that must be brought up. But when you hear a story like this, and I can't wait for you to share some details with us about what is this doing? You personally know of homelessness?
Yes.
Tell us, open it up. Share with us what's going on with people.
Well, so there are so many people that the court fees are having to pay the the name just went out of my mind. The people who are over the actual child. I know that in one case, this gentleman had to pay $15,000 in cash, and he only had a month to come up with that money, or he was going to jail.
Who's he paying it cash to?
The attorney that was over the child. I can't remember.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It just went out of my mind.
That's okay. That's okay.
But that's not uncommon. They are having to do this over and over and over, and these cases are costing them hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, I've got one case, a gentleman, he and his ex-wife had custody of their daughter, and their ex-wife was engaged to a man who was living with them. So the woman died in a car accident, which is awful.
Wow.
But what would you think would happen with that child? She would go to the father.
Right.
No. The soon-to-be stepfather is who he had to fight. He had to spend $300,000 and take it all the way to the Supreme Court just to get custody of his child.
Wow.
And it is outrageous.
Why would that even happen?
I don't know. And that's why we need these complaints to come out, because you can see so much about a person when you can see what people are saying. This is what happened to me. Mm-hmm. Listen to what happened to me. And you can't see it.
So it is true. So you're pointing to the financial consequences. Are people actually ending up homeless from so much of these?
There are people ending up homeless. The suicide rate's pretty high in this.
Oh, wow.
So, we are contemplating starting I don't know if it's called a housing program, but something to help these people. Mm-hmm. Where they just pay a fee, but they're going to have classes and learn how to do everything that they need to do to hopefully make it easier on them. Because whenever you have a case come up for yourself, you don't know the law.
Right.
You don't expect anything like that to ever happen, and you have to learn it in a hurry.
Oh, yes.
And so, another issue that has been brought to my attention is these judges are I don't want to say getting paid, although we do have some definite things that are saying they're getting paid.
Surely
but
they are.
Absolutely, you have attorneys who are paying for their campaigns. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if I have a case come up today, I would want to know who my judge is going to be, and I would want to see who had contributed to his campaign, because that's the attorney I would want. Mm. Well, who would think of that? Mm. But, I know it's a fact. You have to make sure that your attorney is in good with that judge to be able to win.
Oh, my goodness.
And it's awful.
So that, once again, it just reveals to the level of crookedness, of crooked things that are going on to this level.
Yes.
That's amazing.
So I'd have to look through my papers to tell exactly what, but there are definite reports of people who are contributing to these judges in other ways, not just their political benefit. And it will be in my my slideshow, which if y'all show any of it, it'll say where it is there.
What are so explain just a little bit. What are some of the benefits? Why do that? What is it that they're getting out of this that would make money be a issue? Is it money? You said it's beyond money. So what else is it? What other advantages?
For the judges?
Yes.
Well, absolutely. In a smaller county, for sure, the judges are put over many different areas in the county. Mm-hmm. They 100% rule the county. If a person wants to run against them, they will not win in their courtroom. They have total control of that county, and that's not okay. Wow,
that's very concerning, my friends. It's very concerning about what's going on, and this is real. So one of the things that it makes me think about, Jennifer, is this is good for, and I know we mentioned that there are people who go through difficult times financially. Mm-hmm. What about the people who don't even have a foot to stand on to begin with? Because that's surely an issue as well. There are people who can't even enter into the courtroom without a financial disadvantage. Can you imagine that?
No. I mean, I've been through a divorce myself. I had to borrow money just to be able to go, and I'm thankful that I had someone I could borrow it from, but most people don't, and then they're just out. The other person gets anything that they want because you don't have anyone to represent you. And that's part of why in this, if we go ahead with this house thing, we want to provide some education on how to work pro se. Not that I'm against attorneys, but not everyone can afford them. So we want them to have the knowledge of how to do this.
Well, you know, I actually interviewed another attorney several months ago, and he was talking about how they had to start giving people courses on how to be their own attorney, essentially, because they're losing jobs over COVID and over this, that, and the other. And they said, we have to train people on how to represent themselves.
Absolutely.
I think that's an absolutely wonderful idea.
Thank you.
So how do you, what does Texans for Judicial Accountability look like? Give me a day-by-day synopsis of what does it look like to be in your shoes? What kind of support do you look for? You know, what makes it the Texans for Judicial Accountability?
Well, you know, we have things that we are going for sure. You know, we want the complaints to be made public. We want every single complaint published along with the consequences given, because those are the things that can that will allow people to run against a crooked judge. Not that you're all crooked, we know that, but that will allow people to run against a judge who definitely is not up to par. Then we also want audio and video in every courtroom. Now, there are several groups who want audio and video in every courtroom. I kind of have a different take on it because I'm come from a different level than they do. They want everyone to be able to see everything, and I'm not for that.
Okay.
I think audio and video needs to be in every courtroom, and I think that whenever you have a case, you need to be able to get your case. And what you do with it is your business.
But your case only.
Your case only.
Okay, I'm glad you make that distinction, because you see what's happening with President Trump and everything, and I'm just like, you know, I don't know about that.
No.
That's I have a problem with that.
I do not agree with that. You know, like I said, I've been in court before, and I don't want everyone seeing my business.
Right,
that's my business.
Yes, yeah.
But it does need to be available, because I've sat through many a hearing, and I see how the judge talks, and then they go on the record. And on the record, that's where the court reporter works, and that's not the whole picture.
Okay, and so you were actually you were a certified shorthand reporter. So that's how you've gotten a lot of this experience as well.
Yes, and I have a court reporter who's working with me on this.
Okay.
I have another court reporter who is she is willing to do a video to teach people how to do a deposition.
Wow.
And then I have a court reporter in Texas who is willing to take the pro se cases. So that's a big thing.
Okay. What is pro se?
Where you don't have an attorney, where you're doing it all yourself.
Okay.
So that's why I have a court reporter willing to do the education portion of it, and then I have one who's willing to take the depositions.
Okay, good. Not everybody knows what that is. So
yes,
we are here to educate, and I want people to have hope. You know, if you're going through a difficult time and you've dealt with some difficult things, you know, we want you to feel encouraged that there is an answer. What about people right now who may be struggling with something kind of like your story of what you're sharing? Do they have options, Jennifer? What would you say to them?
Options. Okay, you're going to have to explain a little bit more.
Options to get some help. Maybe they're like, hey, I've dealt with the crooked judge, and what are their options?
So honestly, I don't really know what their options are. What I am asking for, though, is if you present your case to me, your complaint with the SCJC, and your denial letter, I am planning on getting something together where we can start putting that out, because that information needs to come out. But I am not sure whenever this gets filed if it will go back. Okay. I imagine it will go from that day forward.
Okay. So I imagine there are a lot of people who are out there who are a bit hopeless, frustrated.
Absolutely.
You know, what, as we come to a close, what do you recommend that people do? Are there any words of encouragement that you can leave them with? I mean, you've been in this field, you've seen so much. What do you say to someone?
All I can say is keep fighting, and we are fighting for you. And let's all join hands, let's pray, let's make sure it gets out there that this has got to happen. We need accountability. We need accountability across the board for all elected officials, but right now all I can focus on are the judges. We have to have accountability. There is none right now.
That's really good. I'm so glad you're doing that. Thank you for doing that. I imagine that it's a lot of hours, a lot of research, a lot of tenacity, so there's so much going on there. How can people reach you? How can they find you and learn more about your organization?
So they can go to Texans for Judicial Accountability.org. They can look for us on Facebook under the same name. They can call me, 817-757-6839 is my phone number. Just please text first, because that way I'll know what you're writing about or what you're calling about, and I can do some research if I need to. And, just pray, get behind us, and we are hoping for some big changes next session.
Awesome. Well, good luck with that. Blessings on that. I pray that it does move forward and work out for you. I think this is absolutely necessary in this time. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you for having me today.
Yes. Well, there you have it, my friends. You heard Jennifer Lundy herself with Texans for Judicial Accountability. Go check it out. This is a great movement, I think, as we see so many things falling apart in our nation because of our government officials who are not being held accountable. I do think it's a wonderful movement. I think it's something that's absolutely necessary. So go show your support. And we will see you again soon. God bless.